Hello, welcome to my Northern Premier League Midlands Division Review, your weekly home for everything happening in the NPL Midlands. I'm David Garton. I'll be breaking down all the key results from the past week, analysing talking points, and checking in on how the league table is shaping up and looking ahead to the next round of games. So, firstly, I'd like to discuss some player transfers. We've had quite a few this week that have caught my attention, so I'm going to hazard a guess I've missed quite a few as well. So, if there's any I miss, please put in the comments anyone I've missed who you think should have got a mention this week. So, Coventry Sphinx were thrilled to announce the signing of Jared Bradshaw. The attacking midfielder joins from Hinckley AFC. I've seen Jared play previously at Coventry United. I think he's a very good player and he's a very nice lad as well. So welcome to Coventry Sphinx. Eaton United were delighted to announce the signing of Kyle Burke, who joins after recently playing for Coventry Sphinx. Racing Club Warwick have signed defender Jasper Tetlow. The Taron defender joins from Corn, where he made 63 appearances and was a key part of Corn's NPL Midlands winning side. Basford United have confirmed that Callum Cox has exited his contract and left the club by mutual agreement. He was a free agent to sign elsewhere. I did see that he signed for Eastwood, who play in the United Counties Premier Division North. Rugby Town had a few players coming in the last few days, so they were pleased to. Rugby Town were pleased to announce the signing of Riley Nicholson, who joined from Coventry Sphinx. The 20-year-old defender who can play anywhere across the back line, had been at Sphinx for a season and a half. He was actually a Rugby Town academy graduate, so he's now gone back to Rugby Town. Rugby Town also pleased to announce the signing of goalkeeper Charlie Woods from Coventry Sphinx. The 21-year-old goalkeeper spent the last 1.5 seasons at Sphinx after a successful season with Corn Football Club. St Neots, it said it was great sadness to announce that Kieran Barnes has left the club. He was a fan favourite, part of the treble-winning promotion side. They had nothing but good things to say about him, so see where he ends up next. Wellingborough Town. So one of the biggest signings of the summer for the league was Niall Ranger, has now left after his conclusion of his short-term contract. Wellingborough Town did say they'd like to put on record thanks to Niall for his hard work and commitment on the pitch for that period, as well as his engagement off the pitch, particularly with the youth section and young supporters. I did see that he has signed for Chatham Town. At Corby Town, Dennis Halliday has left the club. But also, Corby Town have had a few players come in. So on Saturday morning, they announced two signings. A towering midfielder, Frankie Webster, joins from Yaxley. And then striker, Helios Achinbong, if I've said that correctly, has signed from dual registration. And then Lichfield City, it was announced that Joe Haynes has left the club. Joe Haynes had to say this on his social media. After 4.5 years, I've decided to leave Lichfield City. A number of factors to my decision, but I loved every minute of it. League title, 2 cup final wins, top manager and group. He said he's going to spend some time with his family and see what happens next. So we will have a look at the fixtures from the past 7 days. So we had 2 midweek fixtures, Coventry Sphinx versus Lichfield City and Eaton United versus Rugby Borough. Unfortunately, due to the rain, both of those games were postponed, so any midweek action was washed away. So we'll go to the full round of fixtures from Saturday. We'll go through the results and goal scorers. So we will start with Bedworth United versus Eaton United. So it finished Bedworth United 2, Eaton United 0. Important 3 points there for Bedworth United. So Elliot Parrott gave Bedworth United the lead in the first half on the 24th minute. And then Harry Craven, who's recently signed from Coleshill Town, popped up to get a second in the first half on the 37th minute to get all 3 points for Bedworth United. Belper Town versus Coleshill Town. This finished Belper Town 1, Coleshill Town 1. So Diego Di Giroma, if I said that correctly again, give Belper Town the lead on the 29th minute, only for Ben Shipway to score on the 59th minute to give a share of the points. Boldmere St Michaels versus Coventry Sphinx. That finished Boldmere St Michaels 4, Coventry Sphinx 1. Boldmere took the lead early on the 6th minute when Kyle Byrne put the ball away. Then Frankie Ealing got a second on the 11th minute, but only for Coventry Sphinx to get back into the game on the 14th minute when Devon O'Sullivan scored. And then Connor Armstrong scored a third for Boldmere on the 46th minute. And then Frankie Ealing got his second of the game on the 78th minute to make it 4-1 to get the points secured for Boldmere in their battle for survival. Bourne Town versus Rugby Borough. Rugby Borough would come away 1-0 victors with this one, with Tyler Waite scoring his first goal of the season late on in the 82nd minute. Bottom of the table, Loughborough Students played Lichfield City. This finished 1-0 to the Loughborough Students, with Sam Fielding scoring his first goal of the season on the 33rd minute to get all 3 points for Loughborough Students. Mickleover versus Corby Town. So this was finished Mickleover 3, Corby Town 1. Corby Town would take the lead on the 18th minute with an own goal. But not long after that, Paddy Webb scored on the 25th minute to get the equaliser to make it 1-1 at half time. The second half, Manny Norkett scored on the 57th minute to make it 2-1 to Mickleover. Then Paddy Webb would get his second of the game and put the points in the bag for Mickleover when he scored on the 77th minute. Racing Club Warwick versus AFC Rushden Diamonds. So this finished Racing Club Warwick 1, AFC Rushden Diamonds 1. James Hancock's with the first goal of the game on the 55th minute for Racing Club Warwick, with Jordan O'Brien scoring on the 71st minute to get a share of the points. We then had Rugby Town versus Basford United. So this was finished Rugby Town 2, Basford 3. So Basford United would take the lead on the 12th minute with Jordan Hallam scoring the goal. In the second half, Basford would score a second goal where Tyler Dacre would score on the 62nd minute. But Rugby Town weren't finished. Will Harris scored on the 69th minute to make it 2-1. Niall Blake would then pop up to score on the 76th minute to make it 3-1 to Basford United. But Rugby Town weren't lying down there and they weren't stopping. Sam Ty scored on the 79th minute to make it 3-2. But they were able to get an equaliser late on. I did read elsewhere that they did push for an equaliser, just couldn't quite get it. So Basford came away 3-2 winners there to continue their charge at the top end of the table. Shepshed Dynamo versus Anstey Nomads. This would finish Shepshed Dynamo 0, Anstey Nomads 0. We then have St Neots versus Sutton Coldfield Town. So this finished St Neots 2, Sutton Coldfield Town 3. So Luke McGinnell would give Sutton Coldfield Town the lead on the 13th minute. No more goals in the first half, but then Ahed Laketti would get Sutton Coldfield's second on the 60th minute to make it 2-0. But St Neots Town weren't finished there. Harvey Williams on the 82nd minute would make it 2-1 to make a grandstand finish. Only for Sutton Coldfield, 5 or 6 minutes later, to go down the other end of the pitch for Jaden Campbell to make it 3-1. But Harvey Williams wasn't finished there for St Neots, who continued to push and scored in the 91st minute, but unable to get an equaliser, so finished 3-2. Wellingborough Town versus Carlton Town. So this finished Wellingborough Town 1, Carlton Town 0. So Wellingboro's push up the table continues. Carlton quite clear at the top of the moment, potentially leaving it open to be caught up. But Danny Draper would score on the 61st minute to make it 1-0 to Wellingborough Town and get all 3 points to continue their push up the table. So let's take a look at the league table as it stands. At the top of the table, Carlton Town remain out front on 64 points, despite losing to Wellingborough Town, who are just outside the playoff spots. And they're followed, I'd say closely, they're followed by Basford United on 49 points after their victory at Rugby Town. And Belper in third place following their draw with promotion chasing Coleshill Town. Anstey Nomads remain in the playoff places following their draw with Shepshed Dynamo, and 5th place to 11th is only separated by 3 points. So expect a lot of changes in the coming weeks. So we'll just take a quick look at the table. So we'll go from top to probably 10th, which I think, well, 11th, where the promotion place starts. So with Carlton on 64, Basford on 49, Belper on 48, Anstey Nomads on 48. But Anstey Nomads do have a few games in hand. So if they can win those, they'll really push up the table. Coleshill Town on 43. That concludes the playoff spots. But just outside the playoff spots, we've got Wellingborough on 42, Racing Club Warwick on 42, Mickleover on 42, Long Eaton on 41, Shepshed Dynamo on 41, Corby on 40, which I think is I think that might be where the cutoff is. AFC Rushden Diamonds on 38 points, so a good run for them as well. Could get to that playoff spot. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. I can see that Long Eaton, Shepshed, and Corby and Coleshill have all got a game in hand on a lot of the teams. So it'll be interesting what happens in the next couple of weeks. We'll take a look at the bottom of the table. So Loughborough Students remain bottom, despite picking up 3 points against Lichfield City. Bedworth United picked up 3 impressive points against Long Eaton United. Bourne Town lost against Rugby Borough, with St Neots defeat leaving them just inside the drop zone. Boldmere St Michaels grabbed an important 3 points against struggling Coventry Sphinx. Both teams now on 30 points and just 2 points above the drop zone. So we'll just take a quick look at the bottom of the table. So we'll go from bottom to top here. So we've got Loughborough on 25, Bedworth on 26, Bourne on 26, St Neots on 28. They're the 4 teams in the relegation zone at the moment. Boldmere are on 30, Coventry Sphinx are on 30, but have 2 games in hand on most teams. Rugby Town on 32. So I have been saying the bottom eight. I think at the moment it's probably going to be the bottom seven who are going to be competing for those four positions. I think Lichfield and St Coldfield might just have a bit too much about them and Rugby Borough at the moment. So it'll be interesting what happens in the next few weeks. I think we'll see a lot more player signings for a lot of these teams at the bottom of the table as they try push for survival. So what's coming up next? There are four midweek games coming up on Tuesday with Anstey Nomads versus Long Eaton United looking like a great fixture. Then there are two games on Wednesday, followed up by four-round fixtures on Saturday. The standout fixtures for me for the Saturday games will be Carlton Town versus Belper Town. Can Belper Town slow down Carlton's march to promotion or continue their own challenge? They do have a lot of work to stop free score on Ashley Chambers. Corby Town versus Wellingborough Town will be a good one to keep an eye on. Both teams pushing for the playoffs. I also think promotion chasing Coleshill Town will have a good game with Rugby Town. Have a game with Rugby Town, which will be interesting to see which way that one goes. Get the words out there. So we'll just go through the fixtures in full. I'm going to give some predictions how I think the game's going to go. So on Tuesday, the 3rd of February, we've got Anstey Nomads versus Long Eaton United. I think on the back of Long Eaton's defeat at the weekend, Anstey Nomads got a lot of games coming up. I think it's going to be a 2-2 draw. Bourne Town versus Sutton Coldfield Town. I think that's going to finish 2-0 to Sutton Coldfield Town, leave Bourne in a bit of trouble. Coventry Sphinx versus Wellingborough Town. I'm going to go for 1-0 victory for Wellingborough Town. I think Wellingborough are just going to nick these points going forward now. I think Coventry Sphinx are in a bit of trouble. Loughborough Students versus promotion chasing Coleshill Town. I think it's going to be a 2-0 victory for Coleshill Town. We'll then take a look at the fixtures for Wednesday, the 4th of February. So we've got Boldmere St Michaels versus Corby Town. Corby Town are kind of in that bit of middle of no man's land now. They're trying to rebuild the squad, but I think this is going to be 2-1 victory for Corby Town. I think they are going to still be too strong for Boldmere. Lichfield City versus Mickleover. I think it's going to be a 0-0 draw. So we've got a full round of fixtures for the 7th of February. So we've got AFC Rushden Diamonds versus St Neots. I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory for Rushden Diamonds there. Anstey Nomads versus Mickleover. I think Anstey Nomads are going to get a 3-0 victory against Mickleover there. Basford United versus Bourne Town. I think it's going to be a 2-0 victory for Basford. It's going to leave Bourne Town in plenty of trouble. Carlton Town versus promotion chasing Belper Town. I can see Carlton dropping some points here. I think it's going to be a 2-2 draw though. I think they're not going to lose, but I think it will be a draw. I think Belper are going to be quite strong on that one. Coleshill Town versus Rugby Town. I don't know why, but I've gone for 2-1 for Rugby Town. I think that they're signing some good players at the moment. Coleshill Town are in the playoffs. That could go either way, but I'm going to edge with Rugby Town at the moment. We then got Corby Town versus Wellingborough Town. I'm going for a 2-1 victory for Wellingborough. I think they are going to creep into that playoff position. We've got Coventry Sphinx versus Racing Club Warwick. Again, another team pushing for promotion, Racing Club Warwick. I think they're going to come away 2-0 victory there. Can keep Coventry Sphinx in trouble at the bottom. Lichfield City versus Boldmere. I think Lichfield City are going to nick this 1-0. Long Eaton United versus Loughborough Students. I'm going for a 5-1 victory for Loughborough Students. I think Long Eaton, after their defeat the weekend, I think back at home, I think they're going to come strong, keep Loughborough at the bottom. I think they're going to be quite a few goals in this one. Rugby Borough versus Shepshed Dynamo. I'm going for a 3-0 victory for Shepshed Dynamo. And then we've got Sutton Coldfield Town versus Bedworth United. I think Bedworth United's victory the weekend against Long Eaton is going to give them a bit of confidence. And I think they're going to win that 2-1. So if you let me know your predictions in the comments, I want to see who's going to agree me and disagree with that one. I'm not getting these very good at the moment, but let's see how we get on. So that's it for this week's review of the Northern Premier League Midland Division. If you've enjoyed the show, make sure you like, subscribe and share, and don't forget to leave your thoughts in the comments below. I'll be back next week to break it all down again, but until then, enjoy the football. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again next time.